Hey everyone, I'm Doug.
I'm Whit.
So, today's topic of conversation, waveform monitors and vectorscopes and the like. So, have you used those much?
I've mostly used histograms with camera stuff. I vaguely remember learning about stuff in school.
A little bit?
I'm sure I remember learning about vectorscopes and then just histograms, but I don't know if I'm definitely not an expert on it for sure. So
well, hopefully by today you will be, because that's what we're going to be going over. So I have here, this is a Blackmagic product. This is what they call the Smart Scope Duo. Duo because it actually has two different scopes. You can use this as a monitor too. These can display video, not just scopes. And
I didn't know that.
So, yeah, and you can choose which scopes go on each one of them, and they can actually show different signals. I have it wired up where it's showing the same signal, so we can see what the video we're looking at here looks like in two different views.
Right. So this is this video now.
Yep, exactly. The video we're watching up here is what we're seeing on the scopes down here below. All right. So right now I have it on. This is called a parade, a YUV parade specifically.
Okay.
There's three different things in a row, like a parade. We have all the floats that go in a row. That's why they call it that. So
interesting.
Yeah. And then this is a vector scope, so you're able to see. This is basically for doing colors. So the purpose of a scope is really to make sure that your video signals are exactly what they need to be. So your levels are high enough, so your image is bright enough, your colors are accurate, all those kinds of things. And you can use different scopes in order to measure a lot of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So,
what is this?
That's a parade, a YUV parade.
That's the name of it?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So let me actually switch to.
I don't even remember learning that.
You may not have. Let me actually do a more traditional waveform, because that will probably make a little bit more sense.
That looks way more familiar to me.
So what we're seeing here, down here, this is the blacks. Everything up here is the whites, essentially, the brightest stuff.
Okay.
And it actually matches left to right of what you're seeing on the monitor. So if you had a bright white object here on the left, you'd see something on the left side of this scope, and it would be high up because it's bright. So as we look at this, we can actually see that there's mostly a fairly even distribution. So if we look at the right side of the image, there's a lot of bright stuff here, and there's a lot of darker stuff down below, and that's why we're kind of seeing it's fairly spread out. And then, it's hard to do because the shot keeps changing.
I know. You told me to do multiple ones. So it's getting darker. This is the festival that we did, and it's getting darker throughout the day, so we're showing different times a day.
Right. So we wanted to have
this is more evening.
Different range of brightness values and whatnot. So skin tones, for Caucasian people, white and pasty like me, you want to be somewhere in like the 70%. So there's scale here, so the bottom here is 0, and then up here is 100. So your skin tones you'd probably want to have in the 70% range. It's going to be somewhere around here.
Okay.
In order to give a nice pleasing exposure. If you have skin tones in a shot, it makes a lot more sense to go off of that than it does exclusively just the blacks and whites, because a lot of times it's okay to clip the blacks. There's something really in shadow and there's no real detail anywhere. It's okay to have it actually be all the way down against the bottom.
Right.
That's okay. It's less okay to be clipped up top, because you can really see a lot of clipping when it hits the top. But basically, it's just showing you a range of brightness values. And here, his skin tones were a little bit brighter than the background, and so that showed up there. But I guess something else probably explain here. The reason there are actually so many lines in here because it's showing the entire frame of video. So the first scan line of the video, it draws the waveform for that. Then the second line, it draws it for that. So in the case of 1080p video, it's actually drawing 1,080 lines on this scope. And as you draw more and more on top of one another, that's when it starts to sort of glow in areas, sort of bunch up a little bit. But the waveform is a great way to make sure that you're getting the right exposure on your shots. It tells you absolutely nothing about color.
Okay.
So if you want to know color information, you have to look at a different scope.
So histogram's pretty similar.
Histogram is kind of similar. This. So let me actually switch to the histogram, and we can kind of discuss that.
Oh, you can do that?
Yeah. So this has the histogram as well.
Oh.
So we'll go to the histogram. So there we go. So these are a little bit different.
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of used to.
So this is basically showing you how much of the shot is dark and how much of the shot is bright, right? But it doesn't tell you where in the image those lights and darks actually are.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's just statistically, is the image bright? Is the image dark? How much is bright? How much is dark? And that's about it. So these are less useful. I mean, they're still good to have. A lot of cameras, have them built in, and I use it.
They're really simple to read.
Yeah, once you understand it. There are a lot of people that really struggle with this concept.
Oh, okay, I understand it. I think it's because it's visual.
Yeah.
It helps a lot.
Right.
It's not just numbers or
let's see
something.
if I switch back to the... All right, so yeah, if we look at this, most of the image is kind of dark here. So we're seeing that most of the... There we go. We definitely have some brighter portions there, and you can see that. There's actually a very strong peak there on the far right, which means that that portion was actually blown out. There's no more detail left. Anytime you have any bunching on the far left or the far right on a histogram, you've got some clipping that's going on.
From what I remember, you kind of want it more in the center, right?
It depends on what you're shooting, you know? I mean, it's kind of a dark background, so yeah, you do want to kind of shift it off to the left a little bit. Although that shot probably could have been a little bit brighter. There was a fair amount of skin tones in there, and we saw nothing around the 70%.
Yeah.
range.
This stage was sort of difficult because you had light peeking through the trees. And there's no way to control it.
Right, yeah. But like that one, technically, we could have gone brighter to have their skin tones exposed a little more accurately.
Yeah.
But yeah, but for white pasty people like me, 70% is where you want the skin tones to sort of appear in the brightness level. And if someone's got darker skin, obviously you shift it down a little bit. So
yeah.
So that's the histogram. So it's just giving you just a general overview. Is the image as a whole bright? Is it dark? How much is that?
And sometimes you can't really tell when you're looking at the image. Like if you're in a really bright setting, like I don't know if this is the right exposure or anything. So that's really helpful.
Yeah,
because it's
the cameras don't really give you a good sense of reference. I mean, you can be looking at the image and it might look good on screen, but because you don't have anything to compare it against, you might be way too dark.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me a lot. You know, so having a histogram is at least something. It's not the best.
It's something to like give you at least a little indication if you're exposed correctly.
Yep. Yeah, so, but we like, a lot of us like to use the waveform because that actually does tell you where in the image. Like for example, right here, that was bright back there, and there was a peak. Over here, we got something bright, so you see right here. Yeah. So it's actually giving you a better idea.
It's more detailed.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You get a much better idea about where in the image things are happening. So if you're to see something that's clipping across the 100%, look in your image, oh, okay, this is overexposed, so we need to dial that back. So waveform monitors are very, very, very useful, with the exception that they don't give you any color information at all. This is just the brightness portion of the image. If you were watching it in black and white, it'd look exactly the same. Yeah, it'd look exactly the same as it does if it was color. So, speaking of color, that's what vectorscope over here.
Okay.
Yeah. This one kind of drives me crazy because it doesn't have a lot of the what they call reticules, like markings on there for you to get a sense for where in the scale you're at. Like for example, a lot of vectorscopes will have a line that's good for skin tones, and it's good for skin tones.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Of all types.
Okay.
Darker skin, brighter skin, whatever. You know, and it tends to fall somewhere in this range, but for some reason the Blackmagic chose to omit it on this particular scope. So, but you can use a vectorscope to set your white balance, actually. So if you're shooting if you're shooting a white object and your white balance is off, the bulk of the information will not be in the center, because the center is basically no color at all, so neutral, black, white, gray, whatever. Brightness does not come into play. It's just color.
It's just color.
Just color, nothing else. Yeah. So with so much bunched in the middle here, that means that there's a lot of this image that actually is pretty mute. There's not a ton of color in there.
It makes sense too because it's getting darker.
Yeah, but you find here that there's kind of a yellow cast in the background, and you see, or this is the yellow target over here, and we got red here. You'll see that there is a little bit of a shift in that general direction to let you know that there is quite a bit of yellow in there.
So this would be helpful for white balance, and then what else?
And then making sure that your color in general is accurate, because I mean, if you're shooting people, you know, you can make sure your skin tones are on a specific line there. Then you know your colors are adjusted pretty well. But this is also good to make sure that you're not clipping any of your colors. Like some cameras don't capture the same range of colors that our eyes actually see.
Right.
And there are colors,
especially if you're colorblind.
Especially.
I know a lot of people who are colorblind, so that's a real thing.
You It is definitely a real thing. I've done a few too. But yeah.
Did I throw you off?
A little bit. I forgot my thought. So if our eyes can see a much wider range of colors than our cameras can record. And what happens when what happens with the camera when in that situation is that the colors will actually clip. So if you got a red that's redder than what the camera can record, the camera can't record anything that's redder than that, and so it just clips. Like the same way you have clipping with your whites and your blacks.
I've seen that. I just didn't know that's what you would call it.
Yeah,
It's clipping. Yeah, it's
kind
of like peaking for audio or
same thing. Exact
exposure.
Same thing. Yeah. And so a vectorscope will let you see that. So basically the same sort of thing. Like here where it might top out at the 100% line, you'll see that this vectorscope comes out and it just stops. So it's a circle basically indicating the range of colors. The line will come out like that right there. We just saw it. Yeah. So we were getting to the point there where
the camera couldn't see
there were colors in real life that the camera can't actually record properly. So it's best to try and avoid that when you can, but again there's limitations on the equipment. So there we go. That's a very orange image,
right?
And it's shifted up towards red a little bit. So between yellow and red. So but that lets you see the colors that are going on. When your camera is properly white balanced, it'll just be a dot in the center. There's no color. If it's too blue, the dot moves over towards blue. If it's too orange, it'll move up towards.
So do you want everything to be closer to the center?
Well, it depends on the look that you're trying to go for.
Okay.
If you want to have something, it's tough because here, the white balance was right on the cameras, but it's very orange.
Yeah.
On the scopes because of the lighting that they were under at the time. The lighting's constantly changing.
Right.
If they were under white light, that would have been, there we go, clipping again, right there. But that would have been closer to center if the lighting was actually white instead of the yellow orange that they're under there. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but very useful, making sure that your equipment's set up right.
Oh, and then this side I noticed it's gone way down just because it's darker.
It's way darker,
So you can kind of see the difference
The entire background is all black. And so, you're seeing a lot of information down here close to zero because there's no detail. There's no information
dark,
there. Yeah.
Whoa.
Well,
now blue.
Lots of blue. Yep. Going over into the yellow orange.
I like seeing the visual representation way more than numbers. Or anything else. Like this is what's most helpful to me.
More useful. Yeah, exactly. Let's actually go to a couple other types of scopes. So one that let's do RGB parade first. This will make a little more sense for people than a YUV. So what we're seeing here, this is basically the same thing as the waveform that we were seeing before, but instead of monitoring the brightness portion of the image, the black and white, red, green, and blue. So you're able to see the actual red, green, and blue values. That makes a lot more sense to a lot of people who are familiar with computers and work in Photoshop, understand the RGB values.
I do. Sort of. I don't know how much I want to claim I know, but that's usually what I work with is RGB. Yeah. Especially Photoshop.
And notice anything interesting about these? They're going below 0 and they're going above 100. And the reason for that is cameras don't actually work in RGB.
Oh.
They work in another color space called YUV, or more specifically YCRCB. So.
I didn't know that.
So this scope is useful for people, but it's not really useful at all for trying to make sure that your video signals are in spec.
Okay.
So we're way over 100 here on the board.
So you probably wouldn't. Do you use this?
I never use RGB
for cameras. No. Okay.
That's not native to what the cameras are doing. I mean, the sensor in the camera is RGB, but it immediately gets converted to this other YUV color space, and that's the signal that's recorded. So if you're trying to make sure that the signal you're recording matches what you're actually shooting, this is not useful.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I normally leave mine in the YUV parade, because this actually represents the signal that's actually being output out the SDI or HDMI jack of the camera, or being recorded on the memory card. That's actual signal.
So this is like the RGB version for cameras.
It's like RGB, but it's different. Yeah. So this
Okay.
first portion is the brightness. So this is basically the waveform monitor we were looking at before. It's just condensed down so you can actually get 2 more on here. And then this one is basically mathematically it's the difference, essentially the difference between blue and the black and white, sort of. It's more complicated, but and then this one's more or less like the red difference between the red and the black and white. And this is what the cameras are actually recording. So if you want to make sure that your signals going to your recorder are actually in spec and you're not clipping details, this is probably the scope that you want to be looking at. And you can also use this to tell if your colors are out of range. Yeah, these are the two that I leave it on all the time. This one, you have to make sure that I'm not clipping any signals. And this make sure that the colors are actually set right. So the two that I actually find most
So if it's
useful.
saying it's yellow and you look up here and it looks blue,
You got a problem with your monitor.
Okay. Not the camera, it's just the monitor.
Right. Yeah. Because this is, I mean, they're both showing you what the camera's outputting, right? It's the same. It's the same signal that's going into both of these. So this is just showing you a different representation of this, so you can see what's internally what's going on with the recording. All right. So we've covered waveform, vectorscope, RGB and YUV parades, histogram. This also has audio level meters as well. So so audio dBFS, that's decibels full scale. So it basically represents the absolute maximum level of audio that can be recorded. And this is...
That looks crazy to me.
Yeah.
I've never seen this.
SDI video has 16 channels of audio that are always present. We're only using the first 2. That's why we're only seeing levels on the first 2. But this can actually show out to 16 if you actually had 16 audio channels.
Okay.
And like I say, this is relative to full scale. This is absolute maximum up here. If your audio levels are coming up here and touching the top, you're clipping. And it's going to sound terrible. I try and master most of the time at about -20. We're a little hot here. But still...
Speak for yourself. Just kidding.
Throw me off. I gotta roll with
It's
those.
just how my mind works.
So yeah, I try and do my final mastering at around -20, which is kind of considered the pro level. That gives you enough headroom where if something gets really loud all of a sudden, you can still capture it without clipping. You never want to be trying to master all the way up here at the top. So
especially for a concert.
It's
all about the music.
Right. Where audio is really important, right?
Do you use this?
Yes, I use this in my audio booth actually. So I always have I have one of these in the audio booth as well. It's set to show the program video. And then audio on the other side. And so the person running the mixer can see what's going on and what the audio is doing. So now this over here, this is a little bit more complicated. So are you familiar with the concept of phase in audio?
It's vaguely.
Okay. So basically,
I remember learning it.
So if you got 2 audio signals, you know, if you were to watch a speaker and you see it move up and move in and out, you can chart that movement on a chart, so it kind of looks like a wave.
Yeah.
When something is in phase, the 2 signals, you have 2 signals that are basically doing the same thing. Okay. So if you were doing, like, when you and I are talking, and the audio goes to the final output on YouTube, that the audio signal is going to the left and right channels equally. It's a monaural source, and so those signals are considered in phase. The left and right channels are always doing the exactly same thing because it's the same audio source. If one of those gets reversed, so that when one's going up, the other one's going down, that's called out of phase. And the effect you have with that is when you listen to it, it sounds like it's kind of around you or maybe behind you instead of straight in front of you. And it's not a good thing for most of the time to have things that are out of phase. So this scope actually lets you see visually if your left and right audio channels are in or out of phase. If they're in phase, you'll see that it's mostly vertical up and down here. If they're out of phase, it'll actually go horizontal this way. So visually you can see, make sure that yes, the audio signal is set up properly. Yeah. And when you've got, you can tell this is a stereo mix because there is a little bit of width to it. If it was strictly mono, that would just be a straight line moving up and down. So, yeah, it's not as wide as I would maybe like for a concert, but but you get the idea. That there is some difference in the 2 left and right signals. So, and then the other The other scale, the last one here, is audio dB VU. That's basically
DBVU.
Volume units. And
Okay.
Yeah, and this is what we actually normally use, just because most of the guys I have running audio are not necessarily super experienced, and they somehow can't grasp this concept of keeping it at -20.
Oh.
So I put it on this where the 0 here is basically the same as -20 on the other one. so
Sounds like something I would do.
so it's just a little easier for people who aren't quite as familiar with professional audio to deal with. And then this portion over here is exactly the same, no change on that. So, but
okay.
that's the one that I normally use for the audio booth. So, but you're able to visualize, make sure your audio levels are good. So you want to be up near 0 VU on your final output, and you want this line to be mostly vertical. If it's going this way, you've got real problems.
Yeah.
Especially if somebody's watching on a phone or something like that doesn't have stereo speakers. When things are out of phase, they disappear completely. They like not. It's like it's not even there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the other one you can do, like say, you can actually just show the
show the video.
show the real video as well. So, yeah.
That's cool.
So, but there are other types of scopes too. These are just kind of some of the most common ones. Again, the YUV and the vectorscope are the two that I use most. I almost always have this set up on the wall there, right behind you for.
I never look at it.
Technical director. Well, if you're working in Premiere, I mean, it has.
Yeah,
its
I
own
kind of
scopes.
have it.
This
right
is there
there,
for when we're doing a live event, and I refer to it all the time. All the time.
Well, because in broadcasting too, you have to have the broadcasting
your
specs
levels,
for television.
Yeah, your levels
I remember.
have to be within a certain range.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and this will let you know whether you're there or not. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to get out of spec with most cameras these days. They do a pretty good job about keeping you within the proper levels, but you start tweaking stuff in editing in post, and you can very easily go past those limits. And so having a scope, would be very handy.
True.
And you make sure that you're all good.
Cool.
Yeah, you understand it all?
Sure. Yeah, I do a little bit more.
We'll do redo the video and have you teach me now.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Can I play it back so I can just copy every word you say?
Yes. So yeah, the scopes are super, super useful, and this is actually I like this product for the most part. I mean, it has some weird quirks like very limited reticule on the vectorscope, and these screens are not particularly high resolution, but they're good enough for doing this type of thing. And it's not this is not too expensive either. I think it's around $7.95 for 2 monitors that can get this 4K signal.
And you can change it to different
you get
kinds
different
of scopes.
Yep,
so,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah, you're getting multiple scopes in one. 'Cause if you have to buy like Tektronix scopes, you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars just for one single purpose.
Oh.
So having something like this that's multi-purpose, you can do 2 at once. It's a pretty darn good deal. So we'll have a link in the description so you guys can pick one of these things up. But they're very, very useful, especially for live work. So
yeah, especially for live any type of
I'm
broadcasting.
sure there's been a lot of times when you've been on camera and I tell you need to bump the exposure or whatever. The only reason I know that is because
you're seeing it.
I can see the actual signal that's coming.
Well, it's hard when you're on camera. Sometimes you really can't tell.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't.
Just especially if the screen's like this big.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't blame the camera operators when the exposure is wrong because they can't. They don't have the right tools to know.
And sometimes it doesn't even look that different to me.
Right.
But it probably does to you.
Yeah, you can absolutely see the difference on the scopes. So I think that's about it. If you guys have questions, you can leave those in the comment section down below.
If you want this shirt, it's available in our merch store.
Yes, it is.
It's my second favorite, besides the Stream Team t-shirt.
It's very fitting for we're talking about color and stuff.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And it's funny for nerds.
So yeah,
I like it.
Available in the merch store. Members who sign up on the channel get 20% off on merchandise. So
Getting new merch in all the time.
You would actually save money just signing up for the membership to buy the shirt. So, yeah, you actually come out ahead and get the perks of membership as well. So.
Yep.
So
it's a win-win situation.
That's right. So anyway, if you have questions, leave those in the comments, and hopefully somebody in the community can answer because I can't keep up anymore.
Yeah.
It's getting too much. Too many emails.
Too many people.
Too many people watching. Too many people with questions. Yeah, I mean, I get like a dozen emails a day. I just can't. And that's in addition to comments and people reaching out on.
So like, share, subscribe, and let other people help with questions.
Yep. And this is the sort of thing that applies not just to video, but people in film as well. So people who are doing film, this is just as handy there as it is doing live video. So, anyway, so that should be about it for now. So, thanks for watching.
What's wrong with you?
And what's wrong with you? Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you later.